Welcome to The Good Ride. I'm James Beastie, here to talk to you today about the Cardiff Lynx, which is new for 2026, complete redesign. And to give you a short summary, Cardiff moved factories from GP87 in China to a factory in Canada. And while they switched factories, they completely redesigned the shape of the Lynx and most of their boards. So this still has that tapered, directional twin kind of vibe, but less so than the older Lynx. Feels like it has more nose, less tail, a little more directional. And it takes it up a step in terms of directional feel versus the Crane. It has more camber this year, a more directional feel. It's wider underfoot, different core, but still the same fast base, great grip. And it's a great choice for those that see a lot of hard snow and have a bigger boot, because this is pretty much a mid-wide to wide sizing range. And other than the bucky and bouncy nature in soft, uneven snow, this is an amazing ride. I rode this with Nitro, Team, BOA boots, and Union Force. I compared this against a wide variety of boards, which you can see on Patreon for paid members and for higher tier YouTube members. It's been a horrible season up at Mount Bachelor. I got this in a little bit of thick, wet powder, but underneath was hard, uneven snow, and it was a bit unsettling. Then got this in firm but fair snow and an inch or two on top of some pretty hard snow underneath, but still edgeable. And just so you know, this is an honest, objective review for you, the consumer, and Cardiff has zero say in what I say. I can do that thanks to your support, but also thanks to our sponsor support, Flower Board Shop. They have brick and mortar locations and a large online presence, and they've been selling to snowboarders longer than most resorts have been allowing snowboarders on the hill. So if you want to support a shop that's been helping us snowboard forever, longer than most of you have been alive, and objective, honest content, try to click through our links to Flower Board Shop first. It would be greatly appreciated. Let's talk sizing. I got this in a 59. It's a 26.4 centimeter waist, which is really wide for a size 9 boot like myself. When I got in tight spots and uneven snow, this was much harder to turn, especially compared to the Cardiff Crane in a 158. That was so much easier to initiate a turn. So I definitely want to size down to the 156 that only had a 26 centimeter waist. That would be a little easier for me to manage. And then also the insert pack is really wide at a 59. It's made for a taller rider than myself at 5'10" with short legs. So I couldn't utilize this insert pack really well at all. And I definitely want to size down for those two reasons. But if you're 5'10", 190 pounds like me, and you have longer legs and bigger boots, like 10 and a half, 11, this will be really fun. Now let's talk durability. They have a very light, very thin top sheet that always has me a little concerned, but there's not a lot of battle scars over the inserts, and I think it'll hold up pretty well, but I would like to see a more durable, more damp top sheet. I think it would help with uneven snow, and we'll get to that later. But this feels about the same weight to maybe a touch heavier than the old Lynx with the new core, the cedar and aspen core that they have. But it's not heavy either. It's very middle ground. And when it comes to shape, this is tapered and directional with 6 millimeters of taper. And while it feels more tapered and directional than the old Lynx, it still has a little bit of that tapered directional twin vibe. It has a very centered stance on board, and it's even a touch more centered than the past design. You don't have as much setback on board as you used to, but you can still set it back and get some pretty easy directional float that somewhat mimics a free ride board. When it comes to the camber profile, there is a decent amount of camber between the feet, going to a little bit of early rise in the nose and tail. There's a flat section in the middle, which is primarily there for their split versions. They're using the same mold, and that makes a lot of sense for a split board to have a flat mount right here. But this is forgiving, this is stable, very easy to 1 foot off a chair, very easy to flat base down a cat track, and yet if you get off your game, You can skid a turn and recover pretty easily. It's forgiving. Intermediates on up to experts can ride this. Even a committed beginner can go for this, no problem. And this camber profile has that same consistent feel underfoot in almost every condition. When it comes to edge hold, there is a slight disruption in the side cut over the inserts. It's a little extension in the edge here of 1 millimeter versus 2 with the new crane. So it does add 2 millimeters over the width on reference. And just like the old Lynx, this has really exceptional grip. Not as much as the crane, but still very competent for hard to borderline icy snow. And then combined with that stable, pretty forgiving camber profile, it's a great combination for those who see hard to icy snow. Let's talk Lynx flex here. You can see it's a medium flex. It does not feel that soft, maybe bordering on medium stiff. Down in the nose, it's a good bit softer than the rest of the board. And you can see where that flex stops about right here, where the rocker ends. The tail is pretty stiff, and overall, it's a much stiffer flex than the old Lynx. And you can see there is really good pop here. Has a good bit more pop than the old Lynx, and is close to the flex of the crane. Now, when it comes to uneven snow, this is really a mixed bag like all Cardiff boards are these days. In hard, uneven snow, this is capable, competent, really good. Then, when you get in soft, thick, uneven snow, this is where it falls apart. It feels like a completely different board, and it's like the one Achilles heel of Cardiff. This just bucks and bounces you around so much. You can't size up and get rid of it. It just amplifies. And in same day comparisons with the Lynx and the crane versus a lot of other all mountain snowboard peers, these always did the worst. They buck so much, and that bounce will take you off your line. So I'd love to see them find a way to fix that. But if it wasn't for that, this would be an amazing board in all conditions. When it comes to taking this switch, I did like the old Lynx a little better. I like the crane better too, but this is not bad at all, and it's very doable, very easy to get used to. And this will track very well into kickers of just about any size, as long as you don't have a thick, uneven, chundery landing. And when it comes to pipe riding, if you have bigger feet, this side cut along with this extra grip is going to do really well in pipe. And if you're somebody who likes to boost out higher than the coping, this is going to be great for that because the pop is really good now. Overall, this is a great pipe board for guys with bigger feet. But for me, I'll take the 56 crane out there with my size 9s and have a much better time. This is too wide for me in the pipe. And while I think this is okay at jibs, I wouldn't recommend it. There are better boards for that, for sure. Now, when it comes to turn initiation, this will initiate a turn really fast if you're the right size boot. With my size 9 boots, I was surprised at how well it initiated a turn for my boots being so far from the edge. But if you were, let's say, a 10.5 and 11, this would turn incredibly quick. I would say this would be more fast, where this was medium for me, but I was expecting medium slow to slow. So if sized correctly, this will be great in the trees. The smaller tail won't feel like there's a lot behind you, even though it's a pretty centered ride. I think you're gonna have a good time turning in tight spots if you're the right boot size. And when I got this on edge and really engaged this in a hard carve, I was surprised at how well it did for being medium-ish. In terms of flex, it gripped well. I think it favored a back foot weighted carve just a touch better, but you could center weight and front foot weight your carves all the way through and just have a time with this. The spring out of the turn is so much better. The carving ability of the new Lynx is so much better than the old Lynx, and I really had a fun time with it. Especially at this width and clean conditions, it really lit up. And with this deeper side cut, it really does favor circle carves and across the groomer turns a little bit more, but it's still balanced. And you can make more medium radius to down the line turns at speed. The side cut isn't fighting you going straight, so it's a pretty good straight liner, except for in soft, uneven snow. And when it comes to base glide, the new factory gave them a base that's pretty much just as good as the old Cardiff bases from GP87. And GP87 makes one of the best bases out there. And I was worried that they were going to downgrade their base, but this glide was exceptional, especially in same-day tests against other boards that you can see on Patreon for paid members. The wax absorption is very good. There's even a touch of structure here, so it's not just for perfect POW days only. It's all black, it's repairable, overall top-notch base, and you usually see a lot worse for this price point. Now, when it comes to POW float, the tail sinks, the nose rises up. It has a very mellow rise, so it planes very well. It's not very setback on board, and this 59 had a really wide reference stance for yours truly, who rides 21 to 21 and a half. So I couldn't set it back much or at all, but I set it back as far as I could and got some directional float in the powder I had. But the powder days I had were thick, wet snow on top of mostly hard, uneven snow. And I really never got to open it up like I did with the old Lynx, but you can see the potential here. I think this has a little better float than the Crane, but it's wider though, and that's probably why. And overall, other than the soft, uneven snow performance, everything else about this board is amazing. If they could fix that throughout the entire line of Cardiff, it would make their boards unstoppable. They would be hard not to recommend them. But when I see people from the West Coast, I'm hesitant, and it's very condition dependent. But if you're somebody who sees mainly hard, uneven snow and good, clean, light, fluffy powder like they do at Cardiff, this is an amazing ride.